Welcome to the Ink Panels Graphic Novel Book Club. I'm Dan and my co-host Gambit. And when we first decided to do the show, we knew it was going to be monthly, and it was a no-brainer that for Halloween we do Batman: The Long Halloween. Tim Sale, Jeph Loeb. We were just both talking about it. We were both late to the party when this came out. We both have the same trade.
I think it's the first time we have the exact same trade.
So this was one of those ones where it kind of they had done holiday specials. I think Haunted Night was one of them that came out. It was part of the Legends of the Dark Knight, and then this came out. And if you have the trade, I recommend reading the foreword where they talk about Archie Goodwin basically pulling shenanigans and tricking them into doing this book.
Tricking them into that's a great way to get a good book done.
And in the Kevin Smith Batman on Batman podcast, you could probably still find the episodes where someone's probably taken the audio on YouTube. Jeph Loeb is a guest, did 2 parts on it, and talks about Hush and Superman for All Seasons in this.
Oh, I love that book.
And basically he talks about Archie Goodwin tricking him and Tim Sale into doing it. And Jeph Loeb's weirdly one of the most self-deprecating creators you'll ever meet, because every time he puts something out, he's like, who's going to read this? I don't even know. Like, he talked about Superman for All Seasons. Like, he
really
thought it was going to bomb, and then Tim Sale was tortured by DC Superman Group because he drew his own dog into it, and the dog wasn't canon, so they were, like, giving him grief about it. He was going to walk off the book.
Are you kidding me?
Nope, I am not kidding.
I didn't know that.
He talks about it in the podcast. A lot of information, especially on how Jim Lee ended up doing Hush. Basically, he got dared for a very little amount of money.
Yeah, that I remember. We talked about that last time. That was just a gimmick. You know?
Yeah. So again, like I figured out this book because Wizard, back when it was in publication, was like, "Who's the holiday murderer?" And I'm like, "What is going on with this?" Because I never bought the one shots and stuff. I always did just the main books because I need to keep my spending under control back then. Still kind of do, but. The whole other stuff.
Failing miserably.
So I started learning more about this book. I was like, okay, waiting for the trade to come out. You said you were like a year or two late.
Yeah, no, I think it was more than a year that when I got it, because I totally forgot about it. And one day I was at the comic book store. I said, "Oh, I've always wanted to read this," and I got it, and I checked it out. And I got the Dark Victory and Haunted Night. I didn't know that Haunted Night was first, and all that, and. So yeah, I got it like maybe, I honestly don't know. It was more than a year after it was done.
One thing I'll say, Jeph Loeb seems to know how to work books in where he can get as many villains in as possible.
Yes, I noticed
and make
that.
it work. And we were saying before, Tim Sale, his art is ugly, drab, yet
it's so beautiful to look at.
And we were just discussing before we started shooting. Eduardo Riso, 100 Bullets, Moonshine. Forget what other books he did.
He's definitely influenced by what Tim Sale did in this book. It's super obvious because it looks they way too much like his work.
Not ugly characters, but people who look like they're in pain. I guess that's because they said in Challenge of the Unknown they wanted an artist that just makes the ugliest characters.
Oh wow! I did not know that. I don't know if I would ever want to be recognized as drawing my characters ugly.
Because like certain characters, they just look like they should be rough.
Yeah. I don't like. I have to say I don't like how he draws Catwoman, but I do like how he draws Selena.
He drew her with curves, which I thought kind of was good. Like she actually has hips instead of being like rail thin.
Yeah, like this drawing here. I think it's really really cool.
The very first page, I really like. It is Bruce Wayne with top hat, maybe a fedora, but he's in a suit, and he's holding a hat by his stomach, and he's saying, "I believe in Gotham City." Very much a Bruce Wayne thing to do. I didn't realize how much. I wouldn't say how much, but. The things that it borrowed, that the Dark Knight borrowed from this book. Like I was just like, I believe in Harvey Dent.
Yeah,
that 100% comes from this. So as far as early Batman adventures, do you prefer this or year one?
Oh,
Different
man.
animals. Different animals.
They're completely different. This is one thing that when I got it, I didn't know it was going to be like a year 2 kind of thing. You know, that it was right after year 1. And it wasn't until I read the introduction that's what he was. That's the time frame. So it was early in Batman's career, basically.
Because at times it feels complimentary to year 1.
Yes, but at the same time, it feels far removed from year 1. You know, because especially at the end when
There's a rogues gallery already too.
especially at the end when you have all these characters in at the same time, the same. You know, it's like that this could have been like year 2. You know, but then again, you can do whatever you want and make it seem.
What I do love, the murder mystery of it all, because even by the end of the book, you still aren't sure.
Right? So I like one of the things that I like the book, obviously the art. I like how horribly beautiful it is, you know? Because there's some panels that I go like, oh my God, it's so bad. But then you look at it and you're like, but it's so beautiful to look at. And his page compositions are really simple. You know, his panel grids are really simple. There's nothing that, you know, the panels are not weird panels or oddly shaped panels. They're just square rectangles and nothing, you know, the camera is either from the top or from the front, you know, I mean, or the side, you know, it's not something that it's super
Also with the colors with the dark and then like the one where you have the blood, it's contrasting. Like the red rose is always contrasting.
I like the noir feel that it has. I mean, that's obviously on purpose. And yesterday while I was reading this, because I reread this last night, I wanted to have it fresh for today. When I was reading it, I noticed that whenever Batman was talking, I will hear Kevin Conroy in my head. I thought I was the only one.
I still do that all the time when I read books.
So I decided to say, you know what would make this book right now even more fun to read? And I went and put my headphones on and I put the Batman 1989 soundtrack, and then after that
the Prince one or the Danny Elfman?
No, the Danny Elfman one. Yeah.
And then a little bat dance.
No.
Just a smile.
No, just a score. And then it was then I put on a couple songs from the Batman the Animated Series, and it fits perfectly. Like it reminds me a lot of Batman the Animated Series. Like, I don't know if they did it on purpose. This is 96, so Batman the Animated Series was already out.
It might have been almost off the air by that time. Batman and Robin Adventures.
Yeah, I think it was off the air by then.
I think this is probably one of the best Harvey Dent stories, because they really kind of went a little bit further with what happened with him getting scarred and what led him to that point.
Yes. It's a good origin story for Harley, I think.
The main... I don't even know if they're really the antagonists. The Falcone family, they are, but they're victims too at the same time.
Yeah, I that's one of the things I liked about the book. I mentioned earlier before we started, we were talking a little bit about it, how I feel like the book reads better now, almost a lot of years later. even because it's been, I would say, like 10 years since I read this book.
I think it's been about 5 since the last time
I read it. I remember I read it about 10 years ago. It's like, oh my God, this is such a good book. And then I just kept accumulating book and haven't had the time to check it again until now. And last night when I read it, it reads, in my opinion, it reads better now than before. And still at the end, although I did get it a little bit more than the first time that I read it and the second time that I read it, it's still open that who the Holiday Killer is. You know, it still leaves you with that, like, someone is lying here. You know, obviously someone is lying, but.
So for the first issue the holiday was Halloween, and it's Catwoman getting chased around by Batman. She's robbing the Falcones. One of the family of Falcone members, the sister's son Johnny, by the end of the episode issue is killed. And different times during it, you'll see a gun in a workshop and a vise and
Yes.
getting rid of the serial numbers, putting tape around it, and then a baby bottle nipple. And there's always this misleading kind of like MacGuffin setting you up, like where you're constantly chasing like a red herring. Where sometimes it looks like it's Harvey, sometimes it could be Gordon, it could be Alberto Falcone, who always has. You zoom in on him all the time during it when he's like getting slighted by his family.
I noticed that there's a panel that they just show his face for no reason at all. That just to focus on him, like just so you know that he was standing there.
They also kind of off of year one, they talk about Gordon's home life a little bit. With it's got a couple of issues with the wife. Like they show a scene when him and Harvey, they met with Batman. They both go home. There's a cold turkey
Yes.
on the table. Just little stuff like that. Just
this is the scene
moments.
This is the scene where they make you think that it's Harley. And they repeated this scene later on. It's just when they kill Falcone's kid and in the boat. Oh yeah, that panel is beautiful.
Telling a story without words. This is where Johnny Vitti is killed, and it's silent, nothing, and they show him getting into the tub, and then there's blood in the tub,
And then there's blood in
and there is a pumpkin, a gun next to it.
And then he's dead.
It tells a story without really telling the story.
Without words.
And
This is
also
a beautiful set of pages. I like how every time they show one of the killings, it's in black and white mostly. Like it's very grayscale instead of the whole book is very monochromatic, but the regular scenes, they have some tones to the blues and the skin tones and all that. But every time there's a scene where somebody's dying, one of the holiday killings, it's always silent and in black and white, straight black and white.
They straight out of Dark Knight stole it from this. They find a warehouse full of money that they couldn't launder, and they burn it to the ground. Harvey goes home, and his front door explodes.
Yeah, I was surprised about when I read that again. I was like, because I had totally forgotten about it. It's been so long that I have forgotten about this book.
And then Thanksgiving is the next holiday, of course, and it's Solomon Grundy, born on a Monday,
Oh my
and
God,
he
I was
says it
super off.
repeatedly. And there's a scene at the end that I feel like it's straight out of the Batman cartoon, like you said. He leaves a plate of turkey and everything for Solomon Grundy in the sewer.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that whole scene. That's the end of an episode of Batman the Animated Series. You can put that on one of those episodes, and you can finish the episode like that, and it'll be a great ending.
And then there's the next holiday killing, which, funny enough, they zoom in on the hand. It's hairy.
No, it's a glove.
Oh, that is a glove.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It looked like a hairy hand.
Yeah, I know. They made, because when I was reading it last night, I was making sure that I was paying attention, that I wasn't just reading and flipping pages because I already know the book. I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss anything, and I noticed that too. And they never show you, those could be woman hands or those could be man hands, because the way he draws,
And once again, it's this monochromatic image in a pinup with the dead bodies, a knife sticking in the turkey.
Yep.
Yet the Horn of Plenty, it's colored.
Yes, I think that's the standard on every time that someone dies. They give you the scene in black and white, and then there's only one detail that's in color. Like, for example, in this one, it's the blood.
And the Christmas part for the Joker, everything's very colorful.
Yes,
Incredibly colorful.
I like that about that book. That it's about that issue. It's super.
And Joker kicks the shit out of Harvey Dent in front of his family.
Because he's no Batman. I feel like some characters were added to this story just because Loeb wanted to have them in the story. Like there was like you said at the beginning, he finds a reason and a way to put all these characters together.
But I weirdly feel that they use that as the part to turn him into the two-faced personality that angry because he was shamed in front of his family.
You think because they kind of did not use that much after that. It just happened and that's it, you know?
And then the New Year's Joker again.
Yeah, Joker.
Joker managed to get 2 issues basically, and
Oh, that's true. Right. I mean, it's a Joker.
the Carmine Falcone's sister. She looks like the biggest Guido Jersey housewife that you could ever imagine that lives in Chicago.
I mean,
And
you're
we
not
have yet
wrong.
another misdirect with Alberto Falcone now being
Yes.
shot, and then there's streamers, a glass of champagne. Like, the holiday goes through a lot of, like, to kill somebody and carry champagne with you?
No, I don't mean. That's true. I didn't think about that. It's like, you're just gonna kill you, you're gonna leave a cup of champagne with you, like.
And we get, for New Year's, it's more of Harvey and Jim talking about, like, what's going on, like, your home life. And Harvey starts going, we need to talk to Bruce Wayne.
So before you continue,
Yes.
this is the part where supposedly it's when Falcone's son is
They
killed.
stole that from Godfather too.
Oh, nice.
Taking the light bulb out.
So this is the moment that he was supposedly killed. At the end, it turns out that he is supposed to be the holiday killer. So this whole thing, I mean, of course, he's gonna be carrying a glass of champagne.
So, yeah, true.
You know, he's like he's faking his own death. So kind of makes sense now. All right. And this is the time when they actually they try to make you believe that it's Harvey then the killer, because he gets home and his hair is wet, although he was wearing a hat.
We move on to Valentine's Day for Chapter 5, and almost right up there with in Year 1, where they go to show up at Bruce's house, and at this point, Bruce isn't there because he's out visiting Falcone at a graveside. Catwoman's there.
He makes the mansion look
Yes.
insanely big. That is something that Tim Sale does a lot. He likes to play with size, and he always have a big character. And if he has to draw a big character next to someone that's slightly smaller, he's gonna make sure that size difference is noticeable. You see that in Dark Victory, where he got to play with Robin a little bit.
For Valentine's Day, the Maronis now are getting hit, which now this is kind of out of the ordinary, where it's a whole other organization getting hit and leaving a box of Valentine candy. And everybody's dead in there, and it's kind of out of the ordinary because it was single people before. This is a whole room.
It's a whole room now, yeah.
And then they do the whole misdirect of Jim, because he's coming home late now. Harvey's both coming home late, but he's a little frisky. It's like, it's late. Happy Valentine's Day, Gilda. Downtown.
Giggity.
And for this, we have Poison Ivy.
Yes.
She's taking control of Bruce. And then
This
it
is
moves
so
into
weird.
St. Patrick's Day. It's a very weird thing here. It's Catwoman versus Poison Ivy, and out of all the issues, this is the one that I think is the weakest out of them.
The April Fool's one?
St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, St. Patrick's Day.
I didn't love it. And again,
I can see why. I really like how they introduce Sofia Gigante.
oh yeah,
she's
she'll come back later.
She's a big woman. And I like how she goes and visits her aunt to make sure that everything, and she catches her aunt with a 22 that was using one of the
And then
oh my god, murders. That was the word I was looking for, murders.
there's a mass shooting at the steps, and left a St. Patrick's Day little statue. Again, another bigger murder, which hadn't really been going on, or kind of unconnected.
Now, this is my favorite issue. The April's Fool.
The Riddler one?
Yeah, the Riddler one. Because he's the Riddler trying to figure out who the killer is, who Holiday is. And they change from panel to panel. It goes from Riddler to Batman, giving theories and talking of basically bouncing ideas one of the other, but they're not in the same room. Obviously, one is talking to Falcone, and the other is just in the Batcave talking to Alfred or himself.
I can't remember if it's this issue or the Calendar Man one, but basically that's when they're like, this series got extended. They wanted it to be 12, and they're like, okay, well, we need to do an issue that's just catching everybody up.
I think it was this issue because basically this issue, that's what it does. And at the end, Batman says that it's Harley, that is Harvey Dent. You know, and then it goes to the page. It goes to the page where Bruce Harvey
thinks it's Bruce.
It thinks that Bruce has some ties with Carmine Falcone's
and
family.
Also the Riddler
killed.
getting shot at and missing.
It's April Fools.
Yes.
You know, I'm gonna scare you thinking that I'm gonna kill you, but really I won't kill you.
When does a killer not kill? And then Mother's Day, and then we have Calendar Man.
See how big he draws Batman in this page. Like he looks huge. I really love this page. I love his ink work, and it's super. Like he just uses. He doesn't draw any lines that he doesn't need to draw. Like he doesn't waste time with a drawing.
Well, the Scarecrow on the horse.
Yeah. Oh man! Yesterday,
I would get that as a print.
Yesterday, when I was reading it, the soundtrack and the book synchronized, and the moment it came to a point where that and the music were perfect. I was like, oh, perfection. I really enjoyed reading this last night again, especially with the soundtrack.
And then Sofia Gigante, she walks in on another murder.
How convenient for her and the murder. And Bruce is on his fear trip.
Yep.
That was pretty cool. The way that he just runs from the police, and the police is like, wait, dude, you need to stop. And he's like, no, and just running away crazy.
And then we get the connection between Falcone and Thomas Wayne that basically they showed up there and kind of had him fix.
You know, now that I see this page in like flashback and remembering Hush, because Hush is very recent in my head, they have a lot of things that are pretty similar.
It's very similar.
They have a lot of things that are pretty similar. See what Jeph Loeb's doing there. I like the case. I like how Harvey Dent is trying to make sure that Bruce Wayne, trying to sell that connection between Falcone and Wayne, and they have Alfred on the stand, and he said, and he starts talking and said, why didn't he report that he was helping Luigi Maroni? And he said, perhaps he did, but Gotham was different back then, and it wasn't just a few months later that he was killed, and that case is still unsolved.
So,
he managed to turn the whole thing.
My question is,
against Harvey.
When it starts going all against Maroni, the holiday killings at that point, is it Alberto? Since it's his family's rival? Or do you think it's Harvey?
I think it's Harvey. Because Alberto, although I don't think he would go and kill the.
Because there's a reason for him to not like his family, but then at the same time he's trying to make his dad happy.
Yeah, but I don't think he would go. I don't think he would try to do it that way. He wouldn't kill someone from the other family to be like, see what I did, Because at this point he's just pissed, and he just had it with his family, Like his family never believed in him. And he obviously has a grudge with that, He's angry at the fact that he's always been like sent to a good school. Like he had it super easy, honestly, all things considered. And he was angry that he was not part of the family business. Dude, how lucky were you?
And then the Father's Day issue, we really dig into Harvey, where he saw his dad. His dad's pretty nuts, and he gives him the two-headed coin.
I would have loved to see that, because I didn't know that. I mean, I don't know how much they have used that in Harley's and Two-Face story.
There was an
after this.
annual for Batman years ago, like the late '80s, early '90s, that like went into the coin.
So when I was doing my first comic book, there was a panel where the dude was buying a beer and he was paying with just one coin, because in comic book world you could pay with just one coin, and the only reason I did that is that he was flipping the coin at the bartender, and I made sure that you could see that it was a two-headed coin with a scratch in one of the sides, because I thought it was really cool to show that to put that Easter egg to Batman, you know.
In Independence Day, we find out that Sal Maroni and Sofia Gigante had an affair.
Oh, that's right. Dude, that woman is so huge, but she managed to fit her head through the bars. Like, if she can fit her head through the bars to kiss this dude inside
This looked like a Frank Miller Sin City panel.
I mean, there's a lot of Frank Miller Sin City in this
That
book.
face in general,
Yeah.
it looked like something.
Yeah, that's Marv. She looks exactly like Marv looks. But yeah, there's a lot of Frank Miller in these panels. You know, it's more or less the same style, except this one has color.
So in this one also, there is another red herring here, where Gilda's talking to Barbara Gordon.
Oh yes.
His ex-wife Barbara, not young, and she's going, "Do you think it will ever end, Barbara? Will I ever get my Harvey back?" And they go to the window, and there's all the baby nipples, bottle nipples.
But I immediately dismissed that one because she has a baby. So I mean, it's obvious that there's gonna be bottle nipples all over that house.
And Scarecrow and the Mad Hatter are the two villains in this issue.
This one was a weird issue. I remember.
It very much was, and I think this is where Jeph Loeb's like, I didn't have this planned out.
Yeah.
Roman Holiday, it's Gilda telling Harvey, tell me the truth.
She found a gun in the house, and he
wrapped
said that he's
wrapped in tape.
That is evidence, that he brought evidence home. That's what it means. So it's not. This is like the third time that they try to sell you on Harvey being the killer. That's why I feel like he actually wasn't the killer, because I feel like they were trying to push that too much. And damn it, I believe in Harvey Dent. I believe that he wouldn't. Although he believes that he should do something, it's not until he becomes Two-Face where he decides to actually let loose of that thing that prevents him from crossing that line, you know?
So in this Roman Holiday, the trial happens with Maroni.
That's a great panel.
And Harvey gets the acid thrown in his face. And we have the birth of Two-Face.
Yep.
And
This is it. This is the moment. Here.
he has escaped.
I like how they put it with Carmine Falcone's birthday. So like you see while Falcone is doing his birthday, celebrating, Harvey's getting spilled acid in his face, and
then for Labor Day, it's Two-Face meeting Solomon Grundy, and he's wrapped in bandages. He's in the sewer.
they have a bit of a scuffle. I never understood how he calmed Solomon Grundy down just by telling the rest of the rhyme. You know, it's like, And also, there are other comics where Solomon Grundy is portrayed differently, not like this dumb Solomon Grundy born on a Monday, you know?
By this point, Jim's saying, like, the evidence is damning. Inside Harvey's briefcase, a .22 caliber handgun, Falcone's ledger, giving him access to all the Holiday victims. And he's like, my God, Harvey Dent is Holiday. I still hear the guy from Batman the Animated Series.
How long have you known?
And at this point, Batman has now visited Falcone, and he's saying, where's Dent? Falcone's like saying, that maniac killed my sister, my nephew. Do you know what my people call this past year? Wait for it. The Long Halloween.
Long Halloween.
And they're kind of going back and forth. And Catwoman, once again, is fucking with Falcone.
This is when they reveal that Alberto is supposedly Holiday. This is a great page.
And then Batman's going, in the grooves of the vice of your husband's workbench, there are tiny metal filings, gunmetal.
So yeah, I feel all right. So now that I have some time to talk about it and get it out of my head a little bit more, I feel like at the end, Harvey wasn't actually one of the holiday killers. They just wanted to make you think that. I think it's Gilda and it's Alberto Falcone the killers.
I feel like it's all three.
You think? I don't know. I want to think that it was the incident that drove Harvey Dent past that line. Like this is it. I don't because even when he is Two-Face, he still needs to use the coin to cross that line. You know what I mean? He still has a little bit of that. So I feel like he wouldn't have crossed that line just to get Falcone.
There's a few interesting things near the back where everything's kind of, cleaned up a little bit. And they have the Batman, was it worth it? The promise that we made to bring down the Roman, what it cost us, Harvey. If you're asking, did the good guys win? Yes, the good guys won, Batman. But I won't know if it was worth it for a very long time. And then Barbara and Jim are having a talk at home. And she's like, what are you going to do now? What I have to continue. I believe in Gotham City. And Batman's doing Batman things.
Batman does a lot of Batman things in this book.
And
this is a great book. This is a great Batman
book. In Arkham,
book.
You have Two-Face, and he's just sitting there saying, Gilda. And then Gilda is at her house saying, Harvey, I did what needed to be done. Do you remember, you promised we would finally have time together when you didn't have so much work to do. I read your case files about this taking serial numbers off guns and how a baby bottle nipple would muffle the sound, how clues are left at murder scenes. And I thought if I did that, Batman would think it was someone extraordinary, not me. Not me. I used your hat and coat for disguise and left those things at the killings. Johnny Vitti was the first, then again on Thanksgiving. I left the hospital while you slept and again on Christmas. But when Alberto Falcone was shot on New Year's and you came home late that night, your hair was wet even though you were wearing a hat. A hat. I found the gun in the basement. You told me it was evidence, but I knew you had the same idea as me. You picked up where I left off. So we could have time together, a child, a secret. Let them think it was Alberto. No one will ever find out because they don't have you to help. You are my Apollo. You can do no wrong. I believe in Harvey Dent.
So here's where I think that it's not Harvey. The moment that she's talking about, it was Alberto's death. And he faked his death. So that means that Harvey wasn't the one who shot him. That means that Harvey wasn't there.
But the killings of the Maronis is where it gets very murky because that was all after New Year's.
Damn it.
And those were the biggest bloodbaths of them all.
I don't know. I believe in Harvey, man.
That honestly, that last couple of pages where she's talking, that's a hell of a wife. Gonna go, she wants a baby and she'll kill to get that baby. I always love that last line. I believe in Harvey Dent. And then hearing Rachel Dawes in Dark Knight go, I believe in Harvey Dent. I mean, the book to me, other than I'd say there's two clunkers of books out of the 13. Like, probably could have trimmed one out.
You think?
We didn't need a baker's dozen.
I don't know. I think it was. I think it was perfect. You know, the way it was. You know that. I don't think maybe it should have. They could have trimmed an issue. You know, but
Definitely.
I always thought that 13 issues was an odd.
Maybe that was their thing of, unlucky 13.
I guess.
I think very fondly of this book. I felt like 8 or 9. I think I'm leaning towards a 9 on it because, like, I've always said this is the movie.
Oh yeah, this is. I would give this book a 9.
You could trim some fat out of it, and it'd be a real good murder mystery movie.
But you don't have to trim that much, you know,
because it's got the crime stuff from Batman Begins, and they're liberally cribbed from Dark Knight.
I can hear Mark Hamill saying I hate that song.
I would even love this as a 2-part animated series.
Right? Oh man, that would be great.
It would play well.
Aren't they going to do it?
I don't know. That Hush one came out and boy,
it was
that
harsh.
sucked.
It was harsh. Really?
They added some stuff that was unnecessary.
It was
kind of like Batman hooking up with Batgirl.
I like it. It was its own thing. I see these movies as its own thing. You know, it's just its own thing. It's that version of that story. You know, I try not to get upset for this, especially the animated movies not being exactly as a comic, which sometimes make no sense because it should be.
There is a sequel to this, Dark Victory, which picks up again. It's interesting. There's some weird stuff in it.
That's the one where they introduce Robin.
Also, later on, after Identity Crisis, with 1 year later, it was before it became New 52, where Gilda Dent comes back, and she is with one of the Falcones. Tony Daniel was writing and doing the art on it.
I wasn't reading by
it was very interesting.
During that period.
I for a while I was buying everything Batman,
Oh, yeah?
and that was fairly solid. We also got Scott Snyder's Black Mirror on Detective, which brought James Jr. back as a serial killer.
Oh, right. Oh my God!
With Jock and Francesco Francavilla doing the art.
Yes.
And put Scott Snyder basically on the map for Batman. What's your number grade
on this book?
Yeah,
it's a 9. I'm not gonna give it a 10 because I just can't give it a 10.
I'm very, very rare do I give a book a 10. Like I will say though, like Frank Miller's Dark Knight.
For me, year
teeters.
one.
Year one was very, very good.
For me, year one it's like one of those perfect books.
But I was one of those. Watchmen.
Well,
I got it when I was
obviously.
in 6th grade.
Oh no!
I was not old enough to understand that book, and I was like, "What the fuck am I reading?" And then, like as I got older, I'd reread it.
Right.
Just be like, oh.
It's like, oh, now I get it. Yeah. I think that's what happened. I think that when I read this book, I was obviously I was in a different state of mind. Not state of mind, that's not the word, but it was a different period, a different time. You know, so I took things differently that I will take them now, how I will process it now. I think it's a great book. I think it's a great, like, if you've never read a Batman book, you can read this Batman book and you won't feel like you need to read 1,000 million books before, you know?
Well, think what else was coming out around that time. I mean, Grant Morrison's Justice League, the JLA was...
Oh, that's right.
Incredibly fun run.
I haven't read any of that. I haven't read any of those things.
I mean, it's before he went crazy with like some of the highbrow stuff, but it was an incredibly fun read on that team. Also, what was out during that time? I mean, Preacher had just come out right around that time.
96, 97. Man, I was in high school. That's all I can remember.
Yeah,
right now.
some bad X-Men runs were happening right before it bounced into
Was it bad? Was it Onslaught?
yeah.
It was Onslaught. That was not bad. Really?
They gave us Joe Madeira.
I mean, I like the Age of Apocalypse thing, and I like the Onslaught storyline.
And then jumping into, well, I mean, Grant Morrison, Frank Quitely's X-Men after that. Like, after that all reset was...
Oh yeah, but that was a little
close
bit
to, that was
later.
the 2000s.
Yeah,
but
that was.
I'm
that
just
was
saying, I needed to get through
2000s.
that crap to get to that.
Yeah. Ooh, that Morrison.
Spider-
I'm missing one issue of that Morrison run.
Spider-Man
Missing one
had the
issue.
Clone Saga going on that almost
Yes.
destroyed that book.
Oh my god, I'm surprised. I was surprised how it's like another clone book. Are you kidding me? Like, where they go? What? And it's like every time you thought it was over, no, there was something else coming. I'm like,
Wolverine was so overexposed everywhere. DC versus Marvel happened. which was bad.
Wolverine is still overexposed. Just saying, same as Deadpool, same as Harley Quinn. It's not that I don't like their characters. I like those characters. It's just that oh man, and not long ago it was Batman. Batman it's showing up in almost every.
Lobo for a while was
And-
like in books he should never be in.
Yeah, but I mean, that was just very recently, you know. Since when hasn't that character been used? And when they tried to use it in New 52,
They gave the
us
skinny guy,
that,
skinny
they gave us
hipster.
that. It was actually a pretty cool character. I just wouldn't call him Lobo. I wouldn't say that he was Lobo. If you would have called that character another name, if you would have made him Sarnian and just give him another name, and he has a beef with Lobo because of what he did, now that would have made it, I think, more interesting than trying to say that he's the original one and then he's angry at the other one because he's an imposter. Come on, that's I'm gonna use this term, but I feel that was just lazy. You know, I was trying to make something that just to do something different, forcing it.
I'm gonna get on my soapbox for a minute. So, I've had issues with Tom King's run. There's a lot of people who love that run, and I feel like you haven't read enough Batman. This year one, good God, I'll stand for it. Grant Morrison's run, way underappreciated.
Oh yeah, mean, that is true.
That was.
I like how he used the purple and
the Zur-En-Arrh.
Yeah, Batman to explain some things. You're like, I see what you did.
He put
there.
Batmite in.
Yes, and I like the way he did it. At first, I was like, what? But I was like, okay, I get it. I'll buy it.
I mean, basically, he took every toy that got locked away that everybody hated and brought it in to this weird, crazy book that tied up at the end. And
I think that's the most brilliant thing of him.
That was like 7 years. It felt like it might have been. Or
I don't think it was that long, but it was a pretty long run because I think he started writing Batman when he introduced
Damian,
which
he also said that he didn't want to bring Bruce back because the weird organic thing that happened where it was Dick as Batman with this grim Robin. He liked writing more than he liked writing Bruce because it was this weird dynamic where now the kid's freaking all sullen and you got Batman going, "Come on, kid!" Like
we have a tiny Batman, and then we have a bigger Batman that's trying to not be Batman. I see what you mean there.
And I'll be damned if in Batman Incorporated when they killed Damian, that scene where him and Nightwing, where he's like, Grayson, we were a hell of a team.
Yep. Oh man, wow.
And like, I'm not gonna lie, it kind of hit me right in the stomach. I was like, oh, here it comes. Something bad's about to happen.
What I like about Grant Morrison's work is that no matter how crazy he goes, and he can go batshit crazy, by the end of his run, he tries to tie everything up and clean everything so that whoever comes after him doesn't have to to go back, and that's why I got a little bit angry when with Josh Whedon's run of X-Men trying to undo what Morrison did, because Morrison's run, when you read it on its own, it's really, really good, and you can take that away from everything, and make that just let's say a what if. Let's call it a what if for now, and you can take that away from the whole series, and the whole series still work fine. And if you put it where you have it, it still makes the whole series work, because he, at the end of his run, he tied his ends and everything's like, this is my work. Boom. You either like it or you don't. And then trying to undo all that was
the most brilliant thing that they had in Batman Incorporated is that Batman's an internet troll, where he was like feeding all this stuff about who Batman is online.
I never read the Batman
It was so
Incorporated book.
stupid, yet at the same time I was like, well, yeah, I guess you do that to like just fuck with people. It was like, I don't know.
I mean, I guess it makes sense that if you're Batman and you want to throw people off and you're as smart as he is, you would do things like to make people believe that it's someone else, or try to get the attention away from you. It's like, so at some point, someone's gonna be like, wait a minute.
And a hit and miss run, but I will just ogle the pages to no end. The late Norm Brayfogle had a fantastic run on the Detective, I think.
That my first Batman book was The Penguin Affair. It was called The Penguin Affair. It was a Batman detective comic and a Batman issue, or a 3-issue thing, and it was by him. So
Brayfogle, his big thing was
detective comics.
The eyes on the cowl would move and do the expressions.
Yeah.
And everything was very dynamic, and at the time, like,
I love his cape.
The cape was everywhere. The art, it's just fantastic. And I mean, God, if you haven't read the Danny O'Neill, Neil Adams stuff, Englehart and Marshall Rogers, that stuff's fucking fantastic. Okay, I'm off my soapbox about that, but there's better Batman out there.
Back to the Long Halloween. So, if you want to read a book, a Batman, if you never read a Batman book before, and you want
a noir book,
and you want to read some Batman book without having to feel like you need to read all of the other books, this is a good book to read. Like, you can read this book. It's over. It's contained. It doesn't leave anything. It doesn't make you have to look for back issues to understand something. It doesn't make you, when it's over, it doesn't make you feel like you need to keep reading all the issues after that. It's just a nice self-contained story of 13 issues.
Got one more to name. Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch just put out a book called Batman the Grave.
Oh, is it good? I haven't read that first issue yet.
Warren Ellis writes the shit out of Alfred in that book, which is fascinating. He's tending to the burial plots outside.
Okay.
And there is one already for Bruce out there.
I mean, at any moment.
And he talks about it. He's like, I'm living to bury him. And he gets fucking drunk and has a, let me lay it down for you, Bruce. What's going on? But it's a complete detective book where Bruce is recreating this crime, this murder, and he's actually getting into the head of the victim of what he was seeing and recreating in this VR model the room that he took pictures of and trying to piece it together.
I haven't read that issue yet. I need to read that.
It was really good. It's 12 issues.
12? Jesus. I didn't even know that was coming out. I just went to the store. I was like, oh, what is this?
And whenever that Mark Silvestri Batman that he's been talking about for a couple of years that my friend saw pages of,
it's like,
I'm buying it.
Is that really it? Is it really coming out at some point?
At some point, my friend has seen a lot of pages from it because he's kind of in that circle.
Yeah.
And there's been a couple of leaks here and there of Scarecrow.
I can't wait to see Mark Silvestri drawing Batman.
And for my friend said it's the best work he's ever done.
Yeah.
So take as long as you want.
Right.
I need to see this. I need to see it also in an oversized, like, Absolute edition, just like Doomsday Clock, because I want those giant Gary Frank panels.
Oh man, yes.
So we have 10 minutes left. What are you reading?
What am I reading? I'm still reading absolutely the same things I've been reading. I've been reading Thor. That was I like the Spider-Man from J.J. Abrams, and I actually haven't read that much. The same things I was reading.
The newest issue
Can't
of
remember the titles I'm reading right
the
now.
newest issue of X-Men, the relaunch Dawn of X.
Yes, the Powers of X, House of X. I read Marauder the other day, and I actually enjoy it.
Did you read X-Men 1?
Yes, I did.
Wolverine with Vulcan when the steak cooking it.
Oh, that was pretty bad. No, you know what I think. What one of the things that I like about that book that was I found it really odd. So I didn't like much that it was another issue of world building. It's like, okay, we already got that with House of X and Powers of X. Now move on. It was still a good issue. I really like it. I'm intrigued as to why Cable looks so young.
There was a story with that prior to this. It's not
Okay, so it has been addressed. Okay,
Yes,
so I
yes,
just
yes.
have to go for okay, I thought it was
hit a Wikipedia.
okay. I thought he was young because of the House of X and Powers of X thing. I thought that since I didn't know why he was looking young, but it was funny that he was like with the other dude talking about guns, and he asked, which I thought it was weird. He calls Jean Grey mom. Can I swap guns with this other dude? And I say, yeah, but tend the tables, you know. Blah, blah. It's like, what is happening, you know?
Indie wise, James Tinian's book "Something Is Killing the Children." I've
I haven't
liked.
heard of that one. Yeah.
What was the other one? Conan. I'm still reading.
Yes,
this
Conan
last Savage
and-
Sword wasn't that good. I'm
It's-
still religiously reading.
I didn't know that. I haven't read the latest issue of Savage Sword, but it's written by Roy Thomas.
Yes.
Which when I saw that, oh man, I haven't read it yet, but I'm actually looking forward to read it.
Once in Future was great.
I've been meaning to read
1
that.
through 3, 2 and 3 have been especially fantastic.
Yeah.
Immortal Hulk still continues to be good. I just read Money Shot by Tim Sale and the comedian Sarah Beatty. I did a review on it. It is not PG in any way,
Okay.
and it was hard for me to review because I couldn't show many clips from it because I really didn't want to have it age restricted. Someone fucked his fish man. It was just like,
Oh no!
oh yeah, it was just like the
I mean, there's a movie that won an Oscar.
yeah,
for someone.
just like that, except she put a condom on and called it a tuna roll. A tuna wrap, excuse me. Yeah, there's a couple of things here and there.
So,
Black Hammer, I think, is over now by Lemire.
yeah, I didn't read any of that.
The Scott Snyder, Charles Soule book, Undiscovered Country, I'm kind of curious about because I feel like it's going to have a lot of political drop back because it's got the U.S. with a wall around it. Because, boy, I wonder who started that shit. With it being Halloween, read Witches.
Oh yeah, right. Oh man, that was another good option for.
Witches,
What do you
Nailbiter. There's good horror books out there, but Witches is one of those ones.
Yeah.
Jock, especially his art in it, is pretty
That's
good.
that's a really beautiful book.
Of course, Lock and Key is another one that I'll recommend till the day I die. I don't really want to die, but
But until that day, that's one of the things you're gonna recommend.
there's some other stuff. Look for it, or if you watch this and you comment on it, I'll give you recommendations, or if you feel like you need to put in your 2 cents of what I might not mention that I should have, game for it. Next month, we're doing something different. We're doing a live stream with this girl, the D-Comic Queen, Nat. I did a live stream for her about Heroes in Crisis, which actually started the idea of doing this because people were comparing Identity Crisis to Infinite Crisis, and some people had issues with
With
Identity
Heroes in
Crisis.
Crisis.
Heroes in Crisis to Identity Crisis. People
Okay. Yeah.
said they were kind of similar, and I
They're
didn't
not.
see it. So we're going to talk about that because I personally love Brad Meltzer's writing on that book.
Oh, that
and
book that's one of my favorite books.
Rags Morales' art I can talk about for a while on that. So that's gonna be the next one we do. We're still working on a date that works for her and for us because we work way too much.
I love that book so much. I have it on single issue and I have it on trade, and both of them I have them signed by Rax Morales.
And the Michael Turner covers, the one with Wonder
Yes.
Woman. Oh.
Yeah.
And then for Christmas, we're doing Lobo. And as a special treat, we're going to do Lobo's Paramilitary Christmas on top of that, discuss it, because he loves that book, and I haven't read Lazzarini in at least 10 to 15 years.
Oh wow! I mean, it's as over the top and weird as you remember it.
Can't wait. And then January is a whole new year, and we'll get to that. We do. So we're running out of time, so we're going to wrap up. Thank you for joining us, and you can find me on Instagram under dirty_epic or Chop Comic on Twitter.
I'm Gambit's Inc. Gambitsinc.com, Gambit's Inc. on Facebook, Gambit's Inc. on Instagram, and Gambit's Inc. on Patreon, Gambit's Inc. on everything.
And you can find me weekly here on the channel doing reviews, struggling with reviews, looking like I'm about to fall asleep because I've been editing.
You're about
or I've
to
been
fall asleep.
also possibly tired from being chased after someone's husband. Anyway, take care. Thank you. And we'll see you next month. Bye-bye.